and we should all agree, riding a train shouldn't be a death sentence. Daily Wire co-founder Ben Shapiro joins me now. So Ben, why do you think the media deep sixes a story like this?
Unfortunately, Jesse, I think it's perfectly obvious why the media deep sixes this particular story. And the answer is perfectly obvious when you look at the races of the people involved. If this had been a black victim and a white perpetrator, then it would have led the news nightly for months on end. You would have had riots in the streets. If it's the reverse situation, the media will completely ignore it because it doesn't match up with their preferred narrative of a white supremacist country that is cracking down on black people, even though statistically speaking, obviously, the vast majority of crime is intra-racial, meaning white on white or black on black. Black on white crime on a per capita basis is significantly higher than white on black crime. That does not match up with the media narrative about white supremacy in the United States.
Do you also feel like they're sensitive to being called racist by their friends, family, and colleagues for highlighting black crime?
There's no question about that. In the echo chamber that the legacy media live in, if you even mention black on white crime, then you are immediately seen as racially discriminatory in some way, because the basic idea on the left is that white against black is really the story of America, as opposed to blacks committing crimes against white people. To even mention that is to undermine the entire narrative of the 1619 Project, for example.
By re-releasing these people out into society after 11, 12, 14 prior arrests, isn't there something about self-preservation? The judges and the DAs alone, why would they do that? Why would they turn these people loose over and over again?
It's ideologically horrific. I have a book called Lions and Scavengers about the mentality that suggests that if somebody is acting badly, they must be a victim. And that is the mentality that undergirds all of this. When you hear the mayor say that you can't incarcerate your way to safety, that is precisely wrong. You absolutely 100% can incarcerate your way to safety. We do not have an under-incarceration problem in America. We have an under-incarceration problem. We need these people locked up for longer periods of time. This particular person should have been involuntarily committed for mental illness. He had violent schizophrenia, or he should have been in prison for armed robbery, which he had been convicted of in the past and done, I believe, 5 years in prison already for.
So we had a big crackdown on crime in the 90s. Clinton and Gingrich kind of took control, and crime rates did go down significantly. There was some blowback over the last couple campaigns because a lot of that was crack versus cocaine. They thought it was racial. But let's take the drugs out of it. Just on violent crime, should America go back to those types of tough sentences?
Absolutely. There used to be a man named Joe Biden, and back when he was a senator in the 1990s, he was very much in favor of actually imprisoning criminals. And then when he ran for president, he decided that he'd been wrong all along. Well, actually, Joe Biden, before he was brain dead, was actually right. He was right back in the 1990s, and Americans found that out when New York turned from one of the least safe cities in America to one of the most safe cities in America, specifically because of harsh crime policies in the city of New York and all over the country.
So the resistance you're seeing from these politicians, especially Chicago, because they're the worst, is this about not wanting to be exposed as feckless? Because they have just not been able to reduce crime significantly during their time in office. If Trump comes in and is effective, doesn't that just blow their whole case up?
It doesn't just blow up their case and their case against President Trump. It blows up their entire worldview. Their entire worldview is that crime happens for deep white supremacist systemic reasons. And if it turns out that crime happens because you're not doing the most basic thing, arresting and imprisoning people who commit the crimes, then their entire worldview is just wrong. And it turns out that personal responsibility and putting bad people in jail is the best way to keep your citizenry safe.
So the media is playing a big role in this. You see it with Chicago. They think it's like going to be, I guess, troops coming in and just slaughtering innocent civilians. And you see it by the way they cover this case in North Carolina. It's a Republicans pounce. Why is this framed as Republicans pouncing?
Well, that's always the narrative. The way that it works is if a Republican does something wrong, the Republican doing something wrong is the story. If a white person does something wrong, the white person doing something wrong is the story. If a Democrat does something wrong, it's Republicans pouncing. It's the Republican response to the story that somehow the story. It's a great way of avoiding the actual real problem here, which is, innocent people being murdered on trains because of horrible and feckless and gutless and terrible governance.
Right. They're ducking and putting their fingers at politics when it's just about law and order. All right, Ben, the book is out. Where can we find it?
You can find Lions and Scavengers anywhere books are sold, over at Amazon or Audible, and over at Daily Wire as well.
All right. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks so much, Jesse.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.